All right, good morning once again and welcome to another very interesting episode of your show. This is Channel 196 on Star Times, and this program is called CROSSFIRE. On this show, we bring about topics that are trending, we bring about debatable topics and happenings and going on in the society. Particularly, our studios are open, discussing intensely everything that is making headlines, especially as it comes to the elections. 6 weeks postponement was for the elections, and I think we have barely about a month to the elections right now. Today, yesterday being the 1st of March, today being the second, day in the month of March. So we have 26 days to the March 28th presidential elections, and then the April 11th gubernatorial election and the House of Assembly elections. And so, all preparation towards the elections is in top gear. And for me, we are set just to ensure that the 2015 polls is free, fair, credible, and transparent enough for us to have a good transition. With me in the studio today, discussing, and debating on all the things that we have put together for today is my regular co-anchor, Ishioma Againe. Ishioma, good morning. How are you today?
Good morning, Nigerians, and you are welcome to CROSSFIRE.
All right. We have a gentleman in the studio with us who will be, participating in our discussion today. And he's no other person. We brought him before, and a lot of you told us that this man is a smooth operator. This man talks so smoothly and so sweetly. But we have him back in the studio today, and we'll be talking with Chidolue. Welcome back.
The last time you were here, you actually charmed a lot of viewers. So we hope you can do that again today.
Please, y'all just give them my Twitter, email, phone number. I really appreciate to know. Just come on, support,
and then suddenly somebody
called, young Nigeria.
Somebody called my attention and say, how come you have this gentleman as your montage for the Wazobia?
Oh, really?
I'm telling you, you and Torrance have been making it,
really?
We've sold you completely to, to the entire world. But for me, I think IK knows his onions, and IK is very good at what he does. And so we'll be, having a very deep conversation with IK today and all of that. First of all, IK, as we go into the program today, I wouldn't know if you experienced it. I could not come with my official card to the, to work today. The looming scarcity.
Oh yeah, in Abuja too, we have the same experiences. But the good thing about it is that I actually saw the press release from the GMD and NPC. They said 24 hours from now is going to be. They just injected, I think, 600,000 metric tons of PMS. So that's about 688 million liters of PMS is going to be flooding the length and breadth of the nation. So Nigerians in 24 hours, 24 hours, I think that in 24 hours.
Hopefully, because as of this morning,
just 24 hours.
24 hours.
Some people were actually buying
24
a liter
hours
of
is going to
fuel
just fizzle out.
250 naira per liter.
688
you seem to have a problem with
liters of fuel.
I want it done less than 24 hours.
We want it even less than 24 hours. In fact, the next 6 hours, isn't it possible?
I think it's possible, but I'm just like,
very modest in your...
Like 24 hours, I believe is going to be... NNPC, those guys are doing it.
24 hours of fuel scarcity is like paralyzing the entire
it feels
nation.
like 2 years, actually.
There was a disconnect between the NNPC and the marketers. There was a small disconnect, and I think they've already reconnected that communication problem. Hopefully. Yeah, so, politics is everywhere, even in our homes,
but really and truly, IK, knowing that you are a pro-government person, I actually have a lot of, somewhat against, the government of the day, as it were, but, not so much of a big deal. But I find out that, personally, I generate my security, I generate my water, I generate my electricity, because I have maybe like 4 hours in a day.
This weekend, we didn't have more than 2 hours straight light of power from Friday all up to this morning.
Maybe your transformer. Maybe it's a transformer
this is not I mean, come on, people in Lagos, the residents, I don't know how it's like in other states, but residents in Lagos, particularly on the mainland, will tell you that, come on, it's been hell for the past 2 weeks.
It is unfortunate, but, you know, there are parts of national developments that I'm an engineer, my background is engineering, like I said, it's mechanical, then I did process technology, then I did chemical engineering, so I understand the lifeline or the engineering circle of starting a power turbine. These are, I mean, for a nation that has over the past 40, 50 years only stayed at 1,500 to 2,000 megawatt. Now we're doing 5,000 megawatt. Some people will look at it, oh, it's
Are we doing 5,000?
Yeah. We have, we're doing, okay, look at it the way, what we're generating right now is about 3,500 megawatt. It was 4,000, then it dropped because of one of the gas line was sabotaged, so they're putting it back in stream. So we're hovering between 4,000 to 5,000. But even beyond that, you have to actually look at the IPP plants that have been commissioned, you know. And before I say this, I tweeted it on the internet, and people were saying, oh, they just wanted to just jump in and eat me out. But I said, guys, capacity, generation capacity, and the actual generation are equally another thing. Just like our refineries, we have about a combined, capacity of about 450,000 barrels a day. That's the capacity. But what it's doing is less than that. So now, so that is the foundation of what I'm about to say in the power. These various plants that have been set up, about 12 or 15, different power plants, plus what we had before, is giving us a combined capacity of almost 10,000 megawatts.
But then,
see the problem.
That was
the problem,
what Mr. Engineer Nebo
even with
said.
even with the new stuff that is coming up. But yes, you have the plants. Then you need to be able to evacuate the power it generates.
Yes.
So you have this thing can give you 1,000 megawatt, but you have a transmission line that only 2-3 years ago we started redoing our transmission lines, the 133 kVA lines. So we only, until just recently, we could not, even if you had 100,000 megawatt plants, you couldn't evacuate it because it couldn't run on the old infrastructure.
But then, with all these beautiful stuff you just said, I mean, Nigerians will tell you we're not seeing the effect also.
They're seeing. I mean, God, before
I spent the weekend at home.
I understand that. Those are the things that really, they take away from the great work that has been going on when we have all this late setback, like when you're not having power, However, I mean, our great days are ahead of us. Things are happening. We have this capacity now, and they have. And another thing on the power, I really have this to say. Just like if you're driving around Nigerian, highways and inner city streets, you look up and you see the power lines. Part of the gas master plan, what they're doing, and you have to really look at this is, we have the gas pipelines. If you see what they're doing, they're running it cross country. Interstate. So in the next 2 years, you don't really have to generate power in Mambila to transmit to Lagos, because now you have your power infrastructure, the gas infrastructure passing. So you just put it here and do your captive plants. Because the thing about engineering projects, some of these turnkey projects they are not off the shelf. You don't go somewhere and say, how much is this turbine? You design and build and manufacture, and it takes, optimum 4 years. So when something that is going to take minimum of 3 years plus to come out of the mill to 4 years.
So we have another 4 years to expect.
They are coming out.
President Goodluck he's had like 6 years already. I mean, if this was started when he got in.
No, he didn't have 6 years.
2 years from his late predecessor.
5 years ago. No, he started 5 years ago.
Oh, this project started 5 years ago.
No, Goodluck started 5 years ago. But the transformation agenda did not start 5 years immediately.
When did it start?
No, you have to.
But that was one of the campaign strategies in 2011.
2011. He managed
so obviously,
he managed it for 1 year. But that was when they were developing the policy.
Yes.
It started with Yaradua's program, and it was really the transition was tumultuous. It wasn't smooth. All Nigerians knew what was happening. But you have to give him hold him to tax from 2011 when he rolled out his plan. And they've been walking that agenda, to the letter, everything he promised to do. And moreover, we have to understand that somewhere along the line, the insecurity wasn't part of the agenda. But when you get into
started in 2011, yeah, so Nigerians expected that a whole lot would have been done from 2011 to 2015. Yes.
No, but a whole lot is going on.
What happened to the years?
I was following. I was following your thoughts in the power sector.
But the power sector. So from 2011, as they were planning the privatization, the privatization of the power infrastructure, they were equally building on some projects that they've already started, the IPP plans. Okay. And now, towards the end of last year, and they've done that. So the ones he said he would do, they've done that. The handing over of the power infrastructure to private companies, they've done that. I mean, these are one of you can only count by the finger, actually, nations that have done this privatization.
The regulatory,
the regulatory framework. The guy heading there, very smart lawyer from Harvard. They're doing, because we've not done this before. And we're doing it very well as though we are experts. The thing is, I understand the impatience. We wanted like 2 years ago. But you can't have it 2 years ago because the guys that is going to build the plant is going to need the minimum of 3 years, 3.5 years to get it out of their plants.
But in line with what you're saying, I think a whole lot of Nigerians would have expected that the government also would have drastically brought down the prices of pump prices, so that because a lot of Nigerians generate their own power. So if this is going to take a whole lot of time, then at least allow us afford these commodities at a very cheap rate to meet up.
This wasn't what what you were talking about. But exactly. But even when you talk about it,
you have to hold on your thought. Okay. Ike. Anyway, we have Ike in the studio, and we have a lot to discuss today. But whatever you have heard on the show is just a tip of the iceberg. We will go on a short break now, and then when we come back, we'll be addressing some very, very, very sensitive issues. And Ike is here to help us throw more light on it. We'll be right back. All right, welcome once again. We are back in the studio, and this is Crossfire. We've been taking a couple of trending stories, and the one that we really discussed that was really getting hot was the issue of the scarcity. And I know a lot of people out there find it a bit difficult, getting back to their offices or going about their daily businesses. But anyway, if everything or anything that we have heard on this program has something that we can hold on, then we have 24 hours to have petrol back, in all corners, and everybody will be able to go out again and do their normal businesses. We have Mr. Chidolue with us in the studio, and we will be addressing a couple of issues on the show. Ike, welcome once again. Now,
Thank you,
I quickly want to say this. The state of the nation. For me, it's easy for anybody to just take a look at, the situation today and feel that everything is all right. Some people feel, oh, okay, we're on the edge. And if we're not careful, this nation is just going to break. I'm not saying breaking into fractions. I'm just saying, something terrible may just happen. But in your opinion, as an informed, citizen of this country, do you think we are together? Do you think this nation is together?
Unified.
Mm-hmm. Ideally, no nation is going to make progress without, having this common understanding that, just like the president always says, that this people's political ambition should not cost the life, be at the, we shouldn't pay with the life as the price. The nation has been together, but we equally have had checkered history. Unfortunately, just this political process is kind of a transitioning process. Every election period is transitioning. Either we're going to move forward or we're going to make some roundabout movement, so those are things, it kind of, any nation everywhere in the world, in America, you saw what happened with GW and, Florida. I mean, it was heated up. America was at edge. So they are expected, but we equally need to, that's where the electorate need to be informed. And, I always say we have a whole lot of people on the internet. Nigerians are informed. If the president or the government says they did this, if you can't go there, find your people that are close by to go and tweet it.
Now, the bit of a challenge is that how come, because of the elections, we are getting to know a lot of things that Mr. President has done. I mean, would you say is a coincidence? How come?
I mean,
most of the
every pro-government person that is not in the government corridors was not equally happy, because politics is retail marketing.
Exactly.
Politics is retail marketing.
Exactly.
Unfortunately, but it has changed. Unfortunately, back then, the people that ought to have been pushing out this information felt that they wanted to wait until all the jobs are done, all the promises, all the 10 points, because when you look at it, it's like 10 covenants that the president had with the nation in 2011, all those 10 covenants that he made, that let's be sure that, but you don't need to. It was kind of a disconnect. They ought to have been giving people updates. The electorate, it wouldn't have been, if they had done that job back then.
Exactly.
Nobody would be thinking about going back 35 years to go and select a leader, as though Nigeria needs a messiah. I mean, we're talking about 35 years. So
Nigeria doesn't need a messiah?
I mean, we don't need a messiah.
Really?
We're already on a forward movement because we're talking about, General Buhari, 35 years ago, I think he was about 27 or 31 years old when he took over. We're talking about a generation when 1983 was when Obama was about 26 years old. This guy, 21 years old. The British Cameron, the prime minister, was just turned 17 years old then. Even the president was just 26 years old. I mean, we're talking about a generation when Ronald Reagan was the president, when Margaret Thatcher was the prime minister, when Russia was still the Soviet Union. We're talking about when Mandela was still in prison. We're talking about when Germany was still East and West Germany. We're talking about some way back archival times. So that is when some people are telling, that is why it has to be properly managed. That is why it has to. Not a lot of Nigerians. Some people are like say, oh, I want to go back there. But do you know what it means? What it means is that Nigerians, maybe in 2030 or 2040, the guys that are about 21 years old now, people, young people, when it's their turn to produce leadership, then we have somebody like maybe President Goodluck Jonathan, who will be a grandfather then, coming back in 2040 or 2050 to struggle for the hem of affairs again. I mean, those are things that don't make sense. I mean, Nigeria cannot. It's not even possible. Nigerians, there are things that we should not, because of politics,
should this be about the age or about development? It is about
everything. You have to.
Buhari is not going there to carry cement on his head.
I mean, but even the development, you have to have some personal development to yourself. There are things General Buhari only appears when it's time to take, an opportunity to take. He appeared in 83, it was an opportunity to take. He appeared under Abacha, opportunity to take. Then he goes, you see, if you draw his timeline, he comes, takes, then blackness. He comes again, takes his blackness. He comes again, attempts to take. Nigerians need to be
able to do a lot for the people.
No, we're talking about when
and a lot of foreign leaders agree with him.
Which foreign leaders? Tell me.
A lot of foreign leaders seem to agree with him.
No foreign leader agrees with him. You're talking about The Economist. Okay. You're talking about New York Times. You're talking about David Axelrod and David Plow. So when David Axelrod, that managed the campaign of Obama and David Plow, that are Obama's spokesperson, are injected in Nigeria's campaign, working for APC. So what you expect is that they're
not working. Are you firing a direct arrow at the APC now?
But we all know what it's all about. But they, I mean, everybody knows.
Hold on. Okay, hold on. See, I understand the trend, and I kept quiet because I really need to listen to you. There's no point trying to break into whatever thoughts that you have. And now you sounded to me like you know, someone who is really looked at the antecedents of, you know, General Muhammadu Buhari. And particularly for me, I think a couple of things that you have said, I mean, are verifiable. But the truth is that you and I have a right to
make a choice.
To make a choice.
Right.
And you see, an informed choice for that matter. An informed choice. Now, the challenge that I have today is the approach that we have adopted for elections. Character assassination. No party has been able to come very sharply and very, you know, thorough. Telling Nigerians, this is our plan if we come back to power or if you elect us into power, and this is how we're going to go about it.
No, I think that is wrong. I think I know what the government of the day...
Because more rallies and campaigns have been characterized with...
No, I mean, people can do, you know, some people that love... the president, some people can take out, if I have the money, I can take out and say what I need to say. But if you listen to what is coming out from the presidential campaign camp, you know, from their ads and what they say is, you know, like what the president has done. He's always been, because he has done so much. That's why you told me that, oh, I didn't know about this up till now.
Exactly.
If they were talking about Buhari did this or Buhari did that, they wouldn't have time to push it out. Because the other people, you know, the president is running on his own record. And Buhari went to London, and even his interview with CNN and everything said, they are criticizing me for my record. So he wants Nigerians to forget about his 1984-83 record. He wants us to believe him for what he says he will do. But don't look at my record. The president wants you to look at his own record. This is what I've done. If Buhari or the Akande cannot run on his record, what is he going to run on? Okay, because people, I mean, of course, the young Nigerians, any person that is 35 years, younger than 35 years old, never really experienced that record. So for them, it really doesn't matter. And you have people like the London economics, the economists telling Nigeria, oh, we are prescribing General Buhari for Nigeria, even though he has blood in his hands. And you turn around and say, you in Europe, are you going to prescribe it to the British people, to the Americans?
No, but the truth is
but the thing about, if once you have, even though he has,
has to do as a military head of state.
Well, you cannot.
Exactly.
But
I mean, a lot of Nigerians will tell you that this man did a whole lot. I mean, look at the value of the naira.
No, he said this. No, he actually said
the value of the naira as at then.
Okay,
what he did.
You know, that's what
he said. He doesn't have any.
What did he do?
What he did?
Where is it, in 1983 or under Abacha? I want to know.
In 1983.
What did he do?
The value of the naira, the building of the refinery.
No, but you have,
also
he was there 20 months. You can't build a refinery in 20 months.
He did that.
No, he did not do that.
Oh,
I mean,
really? So you're saying he's lying?
Can you build a refinery in 20 months?
But then he did that.
No,
so
you can't do it in 1 year.
Why?
See,
Why?
Government have rolling plans.
Are you saying
he did not build a refinery in 1983? But you have to look at the record. When was the refineries done? Remember, I mean, the refineries that he's claiming, the three he's claiming that he did was during Obasanjo's regime. And before then,
why hasn't the general come out to say, oh, no? Why hasn't Obasanjo come out to say, I did it?
No, do you think they just want to take glory for what he didn't do?
Listen.
What he did not do.
Murtala Mohammed was the head of state. And I think the Kaduna refinery, EPC, was commissioned to start. And I think the Japanese company was the contractor that started it. And they started working the preliminary engineering until they got to the EPC. During that time, when the EPC, unfortunately, Murtala died, and
there was
Obasanjo.
No,
the leadership, see, NNPC or Nigerian Refinery Company, Nigerian Refinery Company before they changed to NNPC. NNPC was still doing their business. That the head of state died doesn't mean that you know, the agencies.
The head of state does, but he is being under a military dispensation. He is the policymaker. He is the one driving. So if he died, who would have been able to push it?
He was appointed into a position from being like, I think the GOC or whatever, or a governor.
Okay.
You know, but we're actually deviating. I'm just trying to tell you that. I'm just trying to tell you that. I'm just trying to tell you that, you know, governance should be a continuum. If you started it, commissioned it, and I did the tape cutting, is okay. You know, you can take some of the credit. But you probably be magnanimous enough to share the credit with the person that
all right, I agree with you.
Let's
put our conversation today in perspective. You know, what's your take on the 6 weeks postponement of the elections? We were trying to get you on the show to have your thoughts on that, but I mean, you were quite busy. But what actually is your take on the 6 months, the 6 weeks postponement of the elections? This, we heard, was masterminded by the government.
Well,
in its favor or in favor of Nigerians, which?
Okay. Before the postponement, I mean, people can say whatever they want to say. Before the postponement, you have 36 million Nigerians didn't have their PVC. So and before the postponement, because it's good to look at the numbers and what Jega tried to do to Nigeria, against Nigeria. Yeah, but before
because suddenly the government is against Jega.
No, government is not against Jega. I am against Jega, and I'm not government. Okay. You know, other Nigerians that would have been. I don't work for government. I'm in a private sector. I don't work for government.
Over the weekend,
so when you're critical of the government, does it mean you work for the opposition?
But we've seen.
Why will my own being in support of being a pro-government person mean that I work for the government?
I don't work for the government. He doesn't work for the government. But then we've seen clamors also from the PDP, also other stalwarts of the PDP also coming out to speak against Professor Jega.
I mean,
so does it mean that this is a shared ideology?
I don't speak for the PDP.
You know, but my concern,
but you asked
the
me a
last
question.
statement over the weekend, it's still in line. The last statement I heard over the weekend was that there's possibility of Professor Jega proceeding on a pre-retirement leave before the elections.
If I were the president,
yes,
Jega would have been gone in November. Wow. I mean, I'm not even talking about, there are things that are, you know, counter currents to common sense. You know, common sense is going this way, things are going the other way. If somebody is driving that kind of vehicle argument, he should be out of my administration. Whatever it takes to get him out. The president is just, I think it's just because of his nature, his statesmanship nature. That's why Jega is still there. Civil service rule, according to the Constitution, 30 days, 3 months to his termination, he should be on leave. So by civil service rule, public service rule, Jega should be at home, retired and being in KB State right now. He doesn't even in June.
That's due
to retire in June.
In June, yes.
But he should proceed on terminal leave. That is the civil service provision. It doesn't hold up. It doesn't even matter what he's doing at that time. This is what the provision says. 1, 2. But even if you want to cascade it down, 2011 and before the election, this guy had 6 months to go. Morris, he will have 6 months, 6 more months to go. And Morris was, pushed out. And Jega was appointed. Morris was already planning an election, and Jega was appointed.
There were loads of controversies about Morris Ibekwe.
There is equally loads
about Morris Ibekwe about that time.
If you're talking about controversy, there is equally as much controversy.
Is it because he's not working in favor of the PDP?
It's not about who is working in favor
of the ruling party. Mind you, he was being appointed by the president.
I ask you a question.
And I'm about to answer it before my dear Ishioma brought up some issues. 6 weeks, 35. If you disenfranchise any person, the election has to be seen to be free, and it has to be seen to be fair. To be fair means that every person that's registered, not just of voting age, at least if you're registered,
credible,
if you're registered, you should have that opportunity to vote. Now, 74 million were registered before and got into the national database And Jega went through the thing and removed about 4 million, and so then it got down to 68.
If I remove about 5 million,
it became now 68.83. That one was illegal. Even though he said double registration and everything, we need to audit that database that we need to, because even right now, his system needs to be audited. Let's assume he was right. Now you have 68.83 million registered voters. Then you give the contract out to some companies in China and everything, and they printed 51 million cards. It was only November. No, hold on. Allow me to make this point. 51 million cards. And out of the 51 million cards or 54 million cards, they started sharing, and we had about 35 million. Then when people put pressure on him, they commissioned the contractor to roll out the remaining cards. So as at then, we had about 14 point some, almost 15 million cards that would not have been printed. That means that 15 million people would not even have had the opportunity to vote. So based on that alone, that's a red card.
And with this record,
would have gone.
If you go to the INEC,
in February,
if you go to INEC website,
they said,
your data seems to be contradictory.
Yeah,
it seems to be contradictory. I have it with me.
You have an updated information.
Yes,
and
I'm talking about
I'm talking about we moving, going through, the trend line, the timeline of going to this election.
So you say 6 weeks helps them update?
No. Of course, 6 weeks to help them.
But a lot of Nigerians have not even picked up their PVC. Mind you, not because INEC hasn't printed it, but because if you've been following the trend news, snatching of PVCs in
Ishioma, hold on.
thousands.
No, let me make this point.
By some political thugs
Before the
also.
election, before February 14, 35 million, even with all the things they said they had, about 36 million has not. Then as the election got close...
Has not collected.
Yes, I've not picked. So I'm not talking about even printing the card. We're talking about the card not being collected. But the same Jega, 2011, we distributed 71 million cards in 6 months. Now, 35 million people have not. But now we start probing into the situation.
But if the people don't want to pick, isn't it because they've lost faith?
But there's some
people who do not want to pick.
We have video documentation because we didn't, to show that people go there in their hundreds and they stay there every day.
Would you say that, okay, I agree with you. Let me seem to agree with your data.
Right.
And
they've updated their data.
Yes, they have.
That's why they've updated it now.
Yes.
It gave them an opportunity to save their face. But even when you look at the updated data, we just recovered about 14 local governments in Borno, and INEC is told Nigerians, and Borno had about 90-something% distribution before this 6 weeks military intervention. So INEC that couldn't distribute in Lagos were able to go in Borno that had only 3 local governments working. And they had about 14 local governments or 18 local governments occupied by Boko Haram. And they went to Borno under Boko Haram and distributed, come on. Now, those are numbers that are really, laughable. But, good thing that
they're laughable, but then Professor Tahir Jega was appointed by the president.
It doesn't matter who appointed him.
Anyway,
we don't
these
judge.
are some of the things that should be considered.
It really doesn't
his
matter.
Character.
Okay,
it's not your character, it's what you've done. You're as good as what you did the last time.
We'll be going on a short break, and our phone lines will be open so that we can take thoughts from people. You have an opportunity to call into the show and make your own contribution. Let us know how you feel about the state of the nation. And we have a lot, slated for today's show, but you can see a lot of energy in the studio. Taking us completely away from a couple of things that we have put down on paper. We'll proceed on a short break now, and then when we come back, we'll take this argument to another level. We'll be right back. All right, welcome back. This is Crossfire, and we have with us in the studio, and it's been hot here, believe you me, even behind the camera. It's been really very hot here. We have Mr. Ike Chidolue with us in the studio, and we actually have been looking at the state of the nation. Quickly, Ike, I'm looking at this. Nigerians feel that for us to have a free and fair, credible, transparent elections, that we need militarization, that we need the military to get involved in the electioneering process. What's your take?
We already have. It's a good thing that Nigeria didn't start yesterday. And this election process, we have 2011 to draw from. You know, history, we must learn from history. 2011, we didn't have adequate security provision. And it wasn't even, going to the election wasn't even as polarized as going into this election. But
we voted in 2011
no, but what I'm saying
very emotionally.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
We voted because it did not have any shoe.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Were told.
I mean, yeah.
See, no, well, it doesn't matter what you know.
It matters a great deal.
No, what I'm saying, what I'm trying to bring out is that 2011 wasn't as polarized as this election.
I agree.
And 2011, see how innocent people were slain. Because we didn't envisage or prepare for that. Now, this one, we're going into a highly polarized election. And some people are saying, no, we don't need the army. How many police do we have? You know, so we need every member,
police,
every arm of the Nigeria Armed Forces. We need every boot on the ground.
To do what exactly on the day of the election?
Provide security. What we
how can you think about,
how can you even go as a media person, remember how, some 8 or 11, I can't remember how many numbers, were murdered. You know, how can you, even with that thing in mind, how can you, with that in mind, be thinking about going to this election and not having, it's better
adequate security,
not having over-adequate security. Okay. You know, so those are the issues.
But Nigerians are looking at the fact that Osun and Ekiti State are yardsticks for the clamor for no military. Even look at Osun and Ekiti.
Oh, but they are good examples.
They're case studies right now.
Look at Osun. No, before you go, look at the last 3 elections. Edo, Ekiti, and Osun. Edo, when the army moved, when the president moved in there, because it was polarized. I mean, everybody, they said the army guys must be there. The whole armed forces, apart from Navy or whatever. Yeah. You guys go there. The governor was agitated. He said, no, it was that they're trying to rig the election. Then after that election, the governor, after he, the first thing he said in the statement was he really thanks the president. The president has shown himself to be a statesman par excellence. That when this thing started, he thought the army was going to be used against him. And Ekiti, and the Ekiti ground game, election is about we the people. And it's not about some high-sounding, high-sounding governor saying that.
Did they go out to vote of their own free will or stomach infrastructure?
I mean, even the governor, until the governor was cajoled, even everybody knew.
I think the Ekiti people preferred stomach infrastructure to physical infrastructure.
Stomach infrastructure means giving out aid to buy people's food, bags of rice and money and all of that.
Fayemi did that too. But
do you have any proof?
Come on, now you don't you have your social? Don't you have your internet?
No.
If you just Google it now, you see bags of rice with Fayemi's image on it.
But then we saw that of
I covered it. I was there as a political analyst.
We would like you to show us that.
Good morning, Ibrahim.
Good morning, Dapo.
Good morning.
How are you?
Fine.
It's been a while, Ibrahim.
Yeah.
All right.
Welcome back.
I would like to make some contributions. Mr. Ike, morning.
Okay.
Good morning.
Hello?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ibrahim.
Hope I'm loud and clear.
Yes, sure.
Okay. Actually, I want to take up Mr. Ike on some very important issues. One is his stand on whether Professor Atari Rujega should be removed or not.
It's not my stand.
I expect that Mr. Ike seems to be, well informed. The way he's using the word removing Professor Atari Rujega caused my conscience to ask whether actually he's actually informed on how Professor Atari Rujega can be removed by constitutional means or whether by autocratic means or not. Because all the excuses he has been giving, none has actually clearly told us whether the president has the right to remove him or not. So I would like him to clarify on that.
Okay.
And at least if he's clarifying, let him clarify with at least without sentiment and at least with some certain level of objectivity and someone who actually is informed.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Ibrahim. But I need to quickly say that, what you said about Atari Rujega was actually your opinion. He has nothing to do with the government.
I talked about I had my opinion. And over and beyond my opinion, Ibrahim, remember I talked about the constitutional provision, the Civil Service Act. I mean, what it dictates is that 3 months before his his retirement, he should proceed on terminal leave. I mean, that one is beyond what my my personal opinion, sentiments, or whatever. This is constitution.
All right.
The constitutional provision is that as at yesterday, he should have started his leave.
All right, that's true. Kingsley, good morning. Hello, Kingsley.
Hello.
Good morning, Kingsley. All right, let's move on. I think that call didn't come through. I have this very, very important question to ask you.
Yeah, go ahead.
The 6 weeks postponement borders around 2 major security and the distribution of the PVC. How do you think we're fared since the postponement of the elections, especially in times of security?
Let me start
and in addition to that, do you think elections should go on in the northeastern part of Nigeria, especially Yobe, Adamawa, and Borno?
Okay, let me start from the distribution of PVC. At least you said they've updated their data showing that they've moved adequately, done over 75%.
Exactly, yes.
Good. So on that one, it gave them time to get to 75%. Before they were around 45%, which was not acceptable. Now, on security, we've seen,
Hold on, let's take this call. Sorry. Odiaka, good morning. Good morning, Odiaka. Hello? It's gone.
Okay, now on security.
Hello, good morning, Odiaka. Odiaka, are you there?
Okay, so on security.
Anwa from Zamfara. Good morning, Anwa.
Good morning.
Hi, good morning.
How are you?
I'm fine, and you?
Very well.
Good.
All right, go ahead, Anwa.
How are you? And
We're all right.
Thank you.
I'm fine. I want to welcome our guest.
Welcome.
Thank
I like
you,
the way
Hawa.
she said our guest.
Yeah.
I'm fine.
All right.
I don't really know if my Oga from pro-government is really aware of some things he said.
Okay.
You're calling Buhari an opportunist or somebody that comes during time to take and go. Do you know Jonathan was there by opportunity? And this time around, because that opportunity is not there, that is why you guys are scared. You don't have to.
No, that's wrong.
We Nigerians,
let her finish.
We Nigerians, we want change, and we are ready for it. Whether you are pro-government or
pro-opposition.
It's Nigerian people are to decide what they want.
Nigerian people
so whatever
will
you're
decide.
going to say, the 6 weeks you people are looking for to make things right, I'm not sure it's working. But if it's working, we'll see at the end of the pool.
All right.
Thank you, Mr. Aiki. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Hawa.
All right, thank you very much. All right. I mean, people are thinking that this 6 weeks postponement is actually in favor of PDP.
I think it's in favor of the people. I mean, we looked at the numbers, moving from, I think, 45 or 47% distribution to over 75% distribution is in favor of the people. Moving from recovering the territories that we had lost, and there were a whole lot of malinterpretation, kind of sabotage. It was, I don't know where it happened, but you have situations whereby when, look at the situation going on in Israel and Palestinian, when they wanted to put that recognition in vote in United Nations, Israel lobbied a lot of nations, including Nigeria. And we had these quid pro quo agreements. You people are dealing with insurgency. We are dealing with it now. So you're going to, and they signed, hold on, they signed an MOU. I'm just trying to bring out some points. They signed an MOU. We're going to give you arms and we're going to give you boots on the ground to support. Then after this thing, we approached them back. They said the equipment that were marked down, that we already have an MOU over that we're going to acquire from them, they said they can't sell it to us anymore. I said, why? They said the owners, the people we bought it from, we didn't look at the contract we had with them, that America had an agreement that they won't sell. Yeah. They said that they shouldn't sell. Then another issue, when we went to Pakistan to buy some military hardware to bring in, before then, the flight path was clear. They were going to, because of the trajectory, was clear, we're going to fly over Saudi. And then once we got the, once we acquired, hold up. No, because you can't disagree with
we have to end the show.
I start to be,
anyway, but like what you're saying now, we've recovered, a lot of milestone has been gained on security.
Okay.
And the army, they have the equipment they need, and they're moving they're inspired, re-energized, and we are getting back stuff. So the 6 weeks equally gave everybody opportunity. He gave PDP opportunity, he gave APC opportunity. And he gave Nigerians opportunity to look to interrogate the process.
All right, thank you very much, IK. Before you hijack the show, before I hijack the show, I think we need to just close this show. I mean, I wish that we have more time, but we'll bring IK back. Definitely. And then we can take him on some other vital and important, question. Like I tell you, IK, thank you very much for coming.
Thank you so much.
And I stand to be corrected. I think the postponement favors PDP.
Everybody.
But
all right. I mean, you all remember what this term means? That's a good luck term.
Thank you very much for staying with us. Join us tomorrow morning, the same time, the same station.
Good luck term.
And stay out of trouble. Stay out of trouble.